For us, it is day one of media days for the SEC, and here's what we can tell you. According to ESPN Bet, Georgia is the favorite to win the national championship. Over the last 3 years, the Bulldogs have as many losses, total 2, as they do national championships. Also, as a reminder, there are now 16 schools in the conference. Texas and Oklahoma officially join. The Longhorns coming off a playoff appearance. They are the second favorites to win the SEC this year, behind only the Bulldogs. And then, of course, for the first time since 2006, Nick Saban no longer on the sideline at Alabama. Kalen DeBoer comes over from Washington, replacing the legend who won 7 national championships, 6 of them at Alabama. Nick will join us live a little bit later, but look who is up early with us today at SEC Media Days. Heather Dinich and Sir Paul Finebaum are ready to go. Guys, great to see you, and away we go. Paul, let's start. I can't count the number of conversations you and I have had about Nick Saban over the years. Now it is the beginning of the new era. Should we expect Alabama to pick up the baton and continue to run fast in the absence of the legend?
Greeny, there's 2 ways I have to answer that. First of all, yes, they will. But number 2, and this is self-serving here, since January 10th, this has been the worst 6 months of my life without Nick Saban. I wanted to get that off my chest as we begin the college football season. But Kalen DeBoer has done a spectacular job of succeeding the GOAT. For a day or two, it was iffy, and then he put a great staff together. I mean, superb people in line. In some ways, I think his offensive coordinator is better than what he had last year, which wasn't very good. And you can ask Nick about that later. But in terms of recruiting, he has been outstanding, elite. Nick Saban-like recruiting. He's in control of this program, and I think Alabama is very well primed to go back to the playoffs.
What do you expect from them, Heather?
I expect that they will be behind Georgia and Texas in the SEC race, but that doesn't mean that this season won't be a success. Kalen DeBoer is 104-12, his coaching record in his past 3 jobs. He has been a proven winner every step of the way, and now he's at a place where he has more resources, more talent than ever before. He will win at Alabama, but right now, Georgia and Texas are better football teams.
Let's start with Georgia. That's where it begins. I understand that they didn't make the playoff a year ago, but during this little period of time here, Paul, they have dominated the sport. Should we expect that to continue?
Absolutely. They have possibly the best quarterback in the country in Carson Beck. And Greeny, they are what Alabama was about 5 or 6 years ago. And, you know, cliche, reload, whatever you want. They have it because they have recruited at such a high level. And Kirby Smart in his late 40s is Nick Saban in the absolute prime of his career. Their schedule is difficult, though. They have to play at Alabama, at Texas, 2 of the best schools in the SEC. They don't have a lot of room for error, but in the new age of the playoff, you can lose 2 or 3 games, especially if your name is Georgia.
Yeah, certainly one would think that 2 losses, there will be teams that get in with 2 losses now in this 12-team playoff.
Absolutely.
What else, Heather? What else? It's going to be such a different season in so many different ways, with 12 teams getting in, with 16 teams getting in from the SEC. How would you explain to fans who really aren't caught up on it how different it's going to look and the ways that'll be important?
Well, Greeny, it starts with who's getting into this thing. It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions and the next 7 highest ranked teams. So you're going to have the SEC champion, Big 12, ACC, Big 10, and a team from the group of 5. They're going to be in. I would say Notre Dame is going to be in the college football playoff. You're not going to know who your national champion is until January 20th, which is a lot later than everyone's used to. Fans are going to get a first-round home game. That's outstanding. The 4 highest ranked conference champs get a first round bye. So Greeny, whoever loses in the SEC championship game is going to be in the playoff, and they're going to have to win 4 straight games to win the national title. That's 17 games. I don't care who you are. That's going to be tough.
And to be clear, Heather, those, for the fans who did not realize this, we've always seen the SEC broken up into 2 conferences. But that is no longer going to be the case, right? So we could see Alabama and Georgia, or whatever the case may be, playing each other because it's just going to be 1 against 2 in the conference. I don't know that all the fans are caught up on that as well.
Greeny, 3 times teams can play each other potentially 3 times, because you're right, it's the top 2 teams, not only in the SEC, but also the Big Ten as well. The ACC divisions are gone. Get that out of your head. So you could see Georgia and Texas play on October 19th in Austin. You can see them again in the SEC championship game, and you might see them again in the college football playoff. Same for Ohio State and Michigan. So that possibility is open. It's a very different world, but you know what? It's going to be much more exciting, because in addition to talking about Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama, we're going to be talking about a lot other teams deep into November. This is going to be the deepest CFP field that we've ever seen.
Yes, I mean, by definition, but both literally and figuratively. And I think the fans are just going to be, look, it's my job, and I can't keep up with all the ways this thing is changing, so I can't expect the fans to be caught up on all of it. All of that said, Paul, you are the voice of the SEC. How many teams should we expect the SEC to get into the playoff?
Well, the proper answer down here in Dallas is 16, but the real answer, Greeny, is 4. They've got senses around here. I've got to be careful. So I think 4 is realistic. I don't think any more than 4. I'll defer to Heather for the explanation, but I think 4 is a possibility.
Well, look, Heather, I want you to make a point that I saw in your notes, because here's another one, and it jumped off the page at me. If the criteria as we currently understand it this coming season were applied at the end of last season, how many of the 12 teams would have come from the SEC and the Big Ten?
It would have been 10. It would have been 10 because of realignment and where the schools are. But to be clear, Greeny, that cannot happen this year because of the format I laid out earlier, which is you're going to have all 4 power conference champions in this thing and a group of 5 champion.
Give me something.